Thymesia is a game that I have played before. I played the Thymesia demo, and my Thymesia review, this will kind of be first impressions. I got to the first boss. A lot of people are talking about Odor, and my Thymesia gameplay dramatically changed my mind about this game. I'm going to have some tips and pieces of advice for you if you want to play this game baked into my review and my thoughts as well as the discussion. These streams tend to be a little bit long, but I put everything right at the beginning so you don't have to go searching for it. So make sure and hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss my content. I'm also going to be ending the previous stream and bringing people over from it. We were talking about Diablo 4 and their monetization plans and why I think it makes me feel a whole lot better about what they're going to be doing. So I'm going to bring those people over. And I played the demo, and one of the primary concerns people had in the demo was parry windows and just the nature of the game and how it felt. It didn't feel like it was very, very crisp and good, and they addressed a lot of those things. And I have some advice for you about that in particular, baked in to my sort of review here and my thoughts. So I'm going to talk about why I was wrong about Thymesia. This is a Reforge update. Thymesia is a game that I thought I was not going to enjoy after sampling some of the Thymesia gameplay in their demo, but I was wrong about this game. I put in a good chunk of time of it on my live streaming channel over at Reforge Gaming. I even beat a boss that was giving people a lot of trouble. I think I beat him in about 6 or 7 tries, so if you want to watch that timestamp, it's over there. Great little sampling of that boss. I want to talk about why I was wrong, my experience with the demo. I was talking about the gameplay loop, the graphics, the story, and my conclusion about this game and what my recommendation is for Thymesia. If you like these quick uploads, be sure to hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss the uploads, and check out Reforge Gaming where I stream live. So my experience with the demo was that it was a very, very clunky game. I didn't quite understand it, and the parry system did not work very well. I will give you the same advice I received when I was live streaming from a great viewer, and he said, go to your menu, go to your skill tree, and extend the parry window. There's a thing you can do to help with that. I think, as a piece of criticism and feedback, that the parry should work good out of the box, and then when you invest in it, it gets even better. It's pretty bad out of the box, which makes some of the early fights kind of annoying because you just dodge and you just ignore parrying, which might be frustrating for people as they invest in parrying. Well, now you got to develop it as a skill. Don't worry, I did that, and within the first hour or two, it made a huge difference. So do that, and also invest in the skill that gives you increased health back whenever you get executions. You're going to get regular executions off of the small guys, the basic enemies, and you're going to be able to get your health back very regularly and then save those potions for the actual fights and the boss fights where you're likely to take more damage. And I do think sometimes when you're being hit and when you're taking damage and when you're low health, it's not communicated that well, so sometimes I have no idea that I'm low, and I am. Some of the hit detection and camera work I'll talk about in a moment. So let's talk about the gameplay loop. I think it's unique, and it quickly changes with just slight investment. As you're investing in different things, being able to grab weapons, use weapons, string those along into your combat, it feels very, very good. This does not feel like another Dark Souls game or another Souls-like. Its combat is unique. There's layers to it. I strongly recommend getting into a rhythmic flow with it. Maybe watch my gameplay or somebody else's gameplay to figure out how exactly you're supposed to navigate it, because once you start to feel the rhythm of this game, it's very satisfying, and it is very different. It's going to be reminiscent to Sekiro. If you invest in the parry and use it a lot, it is going to feel like that, especially in the first boss fight, Odor or whatever his name is. That's a parry fight through and through, and I was really glad I stuck to my guns on that. It's super satisfying combat once you adapt to the rhythms and the systems and utilize them efficiency. I learned that the spear did tons of wound, which means the white bar goes down, and then there's all that green bar waiting for you to get actual permanent damage on them, and it was really, really satisfying to use that combined with the perk that I got for my claw. Parry, I already said, should be better out of the gate, so invest in it early. Stealing weapons from enemies to utilize on your own feels dope, and then you can invest in those weapons to make them stronger in your arsenal and have them with you all the time as long as your energy's up, and you can invest in perks to feed that energy more and more. Investment and tweaking your build has huge payouts and feels very good early on. As far as the graphics are concerned, there are times that it is tough to read an animation. It can get a little muddy and a little fast and confusing, which can be frustrating. frustrating. The camera spins are awkward at times, so sometimes you'll get behind somebody, but their tracking is perfect, and the camera hasn't moved yet, so you don't know that it's time to dodge again. This is another reason to heavily invest in parry, so that you're not constantly having to dodge behind the enemy. Dodging all the time is going to lead to those frustrating moments with the camera and the wide hit detection, hit windows, and the tracking of some of the enemies. Not being able to turn off motion blur was a huge bummer on the PS5. It makes the game look kind of muddy and gross, which is unfortunate because I do think it is a very beautiful and good-looking game. Camera feels a little cramped sometimes, as well as the game feeling cramped. That's part of the genre, but I think that can get a little bit old where you're always in a corridor or a tight room, and the camera and the angles gets clunky because you're fighting inside of a box or a hallway. I know that's part and parcel to Souls-like games, but that is one of my slight and minor gripes. I think the story feels mysterious enough to appeal to Souls fans. You're back in sort of this hold area, and there's a mysterious little young woman helping you, which is very akin to a Souls game, and it follows some of the classics Souls-type footsteps of mysteriously telling this story in this very, very grotesque land that you are very unfamiliar with. Conclusion: I wanted to keep playing. I was very surprised by that. I thought I was going to put the game down after an hour and be like, yep, I still don't like this game. I was thinking about the game last night when I wasn't playing. That's signs of a good game. It was frustrating for mostly the right reasons. I did get frustrated in a fight primarily because of the tracking of the enemy combined with bad camera angles, but a lot of that had to do with the fact that I hadn't invested in parry yet, so I was overly relying on dodging. So for the most part, I thought the frustration was appropriate for a Souls-like game. It's definitely worth the $30. I'm happy to admit I was wrong about it. I definitely encourage people to check it out if you're a Souls-like fan. Always remember to check out Reforge Gaming, where I stream live, especially if you want to watch that VOD and that boss fight. And as always, hit subscribe and the bell button, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, let's chop this one up. I've got some discussion points about Souls games that I do want to talk to you guys about, is with respect to combat, with respect to investment, the parry, camera, and I also want to talk about cramped spaces. So those are some of the talking points that we're going to be able to break down in this video, and I do want to refresh that member count. So 1338 before we ended the previous stream. Let me see if those members got distributed. 1318, we lost 20 members. So what in the frick? That's not what should have happened. I honestly don't know what's going on. That's really, really discouraging that those memberships seemingly did not get distributed. Either they got distributed so fast that we didn't catch them. We'll have to see if anybody comes in with an email from 3 of the guys that gifted members in the previous stream. We'll see if that is a thing. How about Bloodborne? What's Bionic saying? Why are we asking him that? I love Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1 and 2. Really struggled to get into Dark Souls 3, and it kept me away from Elden Ring and Sekiro. Was I wrong? Personally, if you're skipping out on Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, and Elden Ring, I think you're missing out on 3 of the best. I'm biased. Those are the only 3 I've played. But I know I played Demon Souls. I think Sekiro, Dark Souls 3, and Elden Ring are fantastic games. I love them. Let's go for 100 likes, says Quiet Shy. Guys, remember, it's a new stream, so if you redirected over, thanks for coming with us. Thanks for joining me for another topic and another game discussion. Be sure to smash that like button so that way you are able to get that like count up. Loop, close file when inactive, show nothing when playback, use hardware, restart playback when source becomes active. Yeah, that's what we want. That's what we want. Wrong as in it was actually good or actually bad. I was wrong about Thymesia gameplay. I think the game's fantastic. I got frustrated. I got salty. That's going to happen in a Souls-like game, especially if I'm playing. But I was 100% wrong about this game. I am strongly encouraging people to get Thymesia. For the $30, if you're a Souls fan, I think the game is well worth getting. I do. I hope Sven and everyone else who gifted sub get their money back for the memberships that weren't given out. I can't tell, Abe, if they went out right away and then there was like a couple reserved for chat, because I'm not actively watching my member count like a hawk like that. Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3 started to up the difficulty, says Eugene. Swamp Zombie renewing their membership and getting a blue badge. Thanks for jumping in for another month. Appreciate that so much. I can see why someone didn't like that, says Eugene. So you think he jumped out because it was getting harder? Bear on a Sled says 250 people and only 70 likes. Get it, chat. Yeah, there's plenty of people here to be smashing that like button. If you're just tuning in, I checked out Thymesia gameplay yesterday, and my Thymesia review is that I was wrong. I'm very much telling people that this game is worth getting. This game is worth playing. My wife almost dropped my lunch because she heard me admit that I was wrong.
Make it my ringtone.
You said clip it and make it my ringtone. I'll make this your ringtone. That's a good hug. Stop! Stop! My wife's gonna be playing games with me tonight. She has to go back into Elden Ring. We'll be playing some other ones as well. Swamp Zombie says, I'm playing it now. I'm feeling it. My daughter's in the room too. What are you doing? Yeah. We were doing soccer drills last night in the backyard. So she and her brother are sleeping really well every night. He was like, I want to go straight to bed. I was like, cool. That's kind of unique for him. And then my daughter was like, why am I so tired? I'm like, because I'm wearing y'all out. Why? Because I'm going to lose weight?
I mean, with all the actual...
Oh, all the actual moving. This interview is over. Doesn't sound like a family-friendly ringtone, says Abe. Are there still a bunch of non-members who are accepting gifts and not getting them, says Robert. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea, Robert. I don't know if it was that stream. We could try again. Oh, yeah, that one. You know what we could probably do? Let me see. I think we have more than one, so let's not do it. Let's see if we have an even or an odd amount. We could definitely do it. It goes in that way, but hang on. Plays like Bastard Child of Bloodborne and Sekiro. I dig it. I actually think it plays way better than that. I don't agree with that. Oh, we have an odd number, so we could do them all if you want. It's going to be that one. This is customer service right here, Chad. That one's going to be one dark, the one that's about to kick out. Ignoring them so we can take care of our people, because somebody ordered a day or two ago and theirs didn't get printed until this morning, so it's going to go out with a group in a batch today. So the people that ordered today, good luck to you, or bank error in your favor. Your coffee's going to go out way faster than normal. Yeah, I thoroughly... What's good, Amanda Williams? How are you? Good to see you in the chat. Neo is that deal, playing Wheel of Fortune with the wife tonight on PS5. Oh, nice. Is my browser having problems? I'm using Microsoft Edge. I don't know if they're having problems with browsers. We've been having a lot of buffering issues. The next one's going to be too dark. We've been having people that have issues with like buffering and stuff, and we're not quite sure what the deal is or what the cause is. Yeah, it sounded negative, Jastification. I was like, wow, that's kind of negative, isn't it? Like, you know, I actually think it's very, very, very good, personally. There we go. The next one is going to be One Light. We are literally printing coffee orders right now from the people this morning, so you're going to get packaged and shipped before everybody else. I like doing this periodically, like if Madam's in the room and can do it. There you go. That's the last one. The combat in Thymesia is awesome. If they had a much bigger budget, they could work out the obvious technical kinks and level design. I got stun locked once, and I think it was again. I think some of my frustrations with that one fight and some of the weirdness that happened is because I was overly relying on dodge. Once I invested in the parry, the whole game changed. Like, the entire game changed for me. Once I started investing in parry, it like I made the parry window bigger. Guys, a lot of you came over from the redirect. If you're lurking and listening and you haven't done so yet, I really need you to do this. Make sure and smash the like button. Give us our first 100 likes. We could turn this into a pretty strong stream, I think, as a nice runway to the Reforge Roundtable. This game is popping off right now. It's very popular, and I did want to encourage as many people as I could, like, buy this game for $30. It never plays better than Sekiro, in my opinion. That's my goat, says Aaron. It's very good, says Justification. Seems like a steal at $30. I'm sailing and see if these killed a Reaper sloop. Sup again. Good to see you, Rusty. What's the game with Pinocchio? Lies of P. Lies of P is the game about Pinocchio that looks a lot like Bloodborne. People buy this game, support good indie developers, says P. Dudley. Yo, started Thymesia yesterday, platinumed it last night. Great game. Yes, parry is the key. It's very much Sekiro. Yes, very much. Huge benefit if you do that. Thank you guys for the first 100 likes. I don't enjoy Sekiro, but it looks so good. Rollerdrome is dope. We did a Rollerdrome first look on the Reforge First Look channel. Make sure you're supporting that channel. Let's see here. In addition to Lies of P, there's also Wu Chang Fallen Feathers that looks very, very good. Black Myth Wukong is probably not going to come out for a very long time until they increase bandwidth and get a bigger team. It is good, though. Make sure you're all on live chat. Yeah, make sure you're not on top chat. Make sure you're on live chat. If you've never been here before, I am a Safe for Work broadcaster. We did check out Thymesia gameplay yesterday. If you want to watch that VOD, I have a great timestamp of me beating Oder. Or Odur, or however you're supposed to say his name, O-D-U-R, the Thymesia Oder boss fight. We have a timestamp for that in that VOD, and it goes really well. Yeah, Wolong is also coming out. Get frustrated by doing parry. I'm terrible on with Sekiro, but on Elden Ring, no problem. That's so weird, because I did really well in Sekiro with the parry system and the blocking, and I could not get parries to work in Elden Ring. I'll probably be getting Thymesia because I love Souls games. Wish it was open world like Elden Ring. I will say that as far as game design goes in Thymesia, I'm actually curious what you guys think about this. As if you're a Souls fan, do you guys feel like they overly rely on the cramped design? I feel like so many Souls games do this. They put you in a hallway, they put you in a small room, and the camera acts stupid, and you can't see what in the frick's going on. You're up against a wall. Like I just wonder, do you think that's necessary for Souls games in order, you know what I mean? Got one more coffee order to ship. Oh, she's not down here, gangs. Sorry. She's already gone. Totally yes, I prefer the linear design. You prefer the linear design. Well, when you say linear, are you talking about the cramped design? I'm talking about cramped design. Thank you, gangs, for ordering 3 bags of dark. I don't know if she's down here and can hear me. She might come back in. I think she's probably upstairs bagging it all up already. I was going to go back to a no-jump Souls after playing Elden Ring. Oh, it was tough going back to a no-jump Souls after playing Elden Ring. I wish I could jump in Thymesia. Yes, jumping in Elden Ring is very, very good. Yeah, we're losing viewers in the beginning of a stream again. I can't help but think that YouTube is having a problem. If you're having to refresh and it's buffering or skipping, that is not me. That's YouTube. I am sorry that's happening. Try and turn your quality down or something. I can tell right now that people are having a problem. Yeah, Elden Ring isn't cramped, for sure. Sometimes it is when you're in a dungeon, but it's not overly cramped. That was one of the things I actually loved about Elden Ring, was that you weren't always putting me in a closet or a hallway. I feel like they were really hampered by budget, but yes, the camera could use some work, definitely, especially when you get into high dodge environments. If you're doing a lot of the dodging, the camera has a really hard time in Thymesia. It's not so much that the cramped design is necessary for gameplay, it's the atmosphere, says Bionic. Tight hallways is just part of old castles, sewers, churches, etc. I will actually agree with that it is part of the atmosphere, not just because it's churches and sewers and like old castles, but also because I think they want you to feel this claustrophobic, foreboding threat. I do. I think they like that. They like the idea that you almost feel like the walls are closing in on you a bit. My frustration with it, my irritation with it is that it just doesn't lend itself to good gameplay sometimes. Like, the camera is bad. I shouldn't be dying. I shouldn't be taking damage because the camera's being goofy, right? I don't think that's how it should be. I don't think that you should be getting into situations where one of the primary pain points of the game is the camera's being stupid, or, you know, and I know this is what people always say. They're like, well, it's your positioning. You should position yourself better, and then that won't happen. Which, obviously, in games like Demon Souls, when you're running back to the boss for the 7th time, you have the rooms memorized. You know the best position to stand. You know the worst position to stand. You know where not to go. And I think I can give that argument a little bit of credit and be like, okay, you're not wrong. I need to be aware of the environment around me. Like, imagine if there were traps in the room, spikes, or like lava pits. You would have to be cognizant of those things, or you would perish. You'd fall and die or get spiked or whatever. And so I do think that is a valid pushback to a certain degree. That, hey, if you're going to go into a room, you need to get the lay of the land, and you need to not go into a bad corner or a bad part of the room where the camera's going to get stuck or you're not going to be able to see. I think that's a valid pushback to a certain degree, but I also think the game developers could attempt to minimize some of that, right? And make it less of a frustration, less of a pain point. But I also think it's just part of the game's genre at this point. I do think some games are like, well, we're a soulslike, so we're not gonna say anything. We're not gonna teach you anything. We're not gonna tell you anything. No guide, no tutorial, no quests, no waypoints, nothing. Just here's a small room, here's a small hallway, and that's it. I do think sometimes when you're playing a Souls-like game, they definitely do that. Did you go against Mutated Odor? A lot more intense of a fight, and yes, there is an issue with the camera too. I had it a couple of times. What's the Mutated Odor? Is that going back and fighting him again? Can you like refight the bosses and up the difficulty? Do you prefer resolution or image quality? I prefer frame rate. If you give me 60 frames per second, the other things you can tweak. I don't care. I would probably pick resolution. Well, resolution affects image quality, so I'm not really sure why you're juxtaposing those things. I almost always pick frame per second. Like, I need FPS. I hope they take this game and build a bigger one from this IP, says Aaron. I do too. I love the gameplay. I think the combat's awesome. I think it's very, very satisfying. Even though the camera isn't set in an angle like in Resident Evil games, I think they throw it in there to throw you off and make it frustrating. I do. I think it's part of the... I think there are Souls-like games where like they think that's part of the design, is to set environments and encounters in rooms up in such a way that you're getting absolutely shellacked if you take a bad position. You can't see what the frick's going on. Mutated Odor is reached by completing all of the subquest levels for the first area. No, I played it yesterday. As after I beat Odor, I was done for the day, and it completely changed my mind about the game. I hit a couple rough spots. I did have some frustration with parry because I felt I was having to rely on dodge way too much. I don't feel like dodge is... It's good, but it's not good enough to constantly do it. You need to have parry interwoven. And once I was able to interweave parry, the whole game changed for me. It felt like a different game. Like, if you watch the VOD, my demeanor and my attitude completely changes once I've got parry into a good lane. Like, I get to Odor, and I get a little frustrated, but for the most part, like, I can see the matrix. I'm like, I can beat this guy. He's a parry boss. I can beat him. Because there was a guy in chat that's like, get long dodge, get long dodge. I was like, no, this is a parry fight. I can feel that it's a parry fight. There's 5 missions in the first area. The Mutated Odor is the 5th mission. You only have to kill him once, but it is impossible without parrying. Nice. I'm terrible at parry at all Souls games. Will I have to rely on it? Gene, I would say I am bad at parrying in Souls games as well. I was good in Sekiro, and I think me being good at Sekiro helped me in Thymesia gameplay. Like, the Thymesia parry is bad out of the box, but you can make it better very quickly. It doesn't take long before you can make it better. And you don't need it early on. You definitely need it very shortly after you've gotten some points, but just increase the window and it changed the entire game for me. If a game's lower resolution that look better than other games that's higher resolution because of an image quality, I don't mean to be off subject. Love your channel, by the way. Thank you, Godson. I have a really hard time distinguishing between those two things because a lot of the times higher resolution translates into better image quality and lower resolution translates into lower image quality. Stuff's not as sharp, stuff doesn't look as crisp. So it's difficult for me to answer the question because I feel I would need an example. Give me a game with lower resolution and great image quality and a game with high resolution and poor image quality. I would need examples of games to compare because I don't feel like it's a very common thing. I enjoyed the Odor fight because of a couple of reasons. One of the things I praise this game for is the customization. You can tweak your build at any time. You can unspend points and respend them and tweak your build at any time, which I did. I changed to a spear. I changed one of my perks so that I was getting energy when I healed. No, not a perk. I changed an ingredient in my potion so that I got energy when I healed, which allowed me to use the spear more often. I was so thrilled with how the customization made the game feel. It made the game feel like, oh, I can actually have an impact on the way this goes. Because when you're like, the first Thymesia boss fight is sort of an automatic scripted fail, and so it didn't quite feel the same way as the Odor fight. The Odor fight was more of a tango, more of an actual, oh, I can change a couple things and I can really, really fight this guy. The first fight where you fight like the big giant guy, it doesn't feel like a boss fight because it's like an automatic fail, which I've got my own opinions on scripted fails in games. I don't know what you guys think. What do you think about scripted fails in games? I kind of don't like them. I don't. Now, I know in Elden Ring, the first guy is a fail, right? He's a fail, and on your second playthrough, you can beat him very easily, and I think people like that. And I'm pretty sure the first guy in Thymesia, I feel like he's beatable. I do. Like, I feel like he's a beatable guy. I don't feel like you can't beat him. But I think if he hits you like twice, they just run the cutscene. Scripted fails are cool because they're a challenge to me. I like them because it lets you know what you're in for. I like them when they're used sparingly, says Robert. Mortal Shell has a scripted fail as well, and I loved it. I beat Genichiro on New Game Plus and Sekiro and still lost my hand. Yeah, I'm assuming once you get like a cheap shot in, even if you beat him, you can beat the first guy in Elden Ring as well. Yeah, you can beat him. It doesn't have to be on New Game Plus. You just have to be an exceptional player. It makes sense early in the game, but not toward the end, says Robert. I have never liked bosses that do this. Oh, you almost got me. I'll be back. And then they run. I'm like, man, frick you. I hate that. I hate the non-boss fight. I can't stand that. It's like, did I win? No, I didn't. Like, you know what I'm saying? I really, really don't like that either. There's certain things. I'm not a huge fan of scripted fails, but the thing I dislike the most is when you don't actually beat the boss and they just run away. So you don't get any of the things. Like when you beat a boss, right? You usually get a ton of currency. You usually get a ton of stuff. You get a ton of money or whatever. But when you don't really beat the boss, you don't get any of those things. They just like run away. I am not a fan of that at all. I dislike that very much. AC Brotherhood is like that. You'll hate all the Sonic games. A few dragons you encountered in Elden Ring ran. You never faced the one final form of Altus Plateau. From the Altus Plateau. Oh, really? They come back with an anime power-up. Yeah. There was a Mario game where, like, every single boss was like, you would be like, oh, they're done. They're like, no, I'm not. They'd be like laying on the ground, and like get back up or whatever. I saw a really funny meme about Dark Souls. It was like, oh, I finally beat the boss. And then it was like, choir starts singing. And you're like, oh no. Like the choir starts singing and you're like, here it comes. Here comes phase 2. If you guys are just tuning in, my Thymesia review, based on my Thymesia gameplay, I was basically wrong. I was basically, thinking that I wasn't going to enjoy the game, didn't think the game was going to be that good after playing the demo. And I am happy to report that I was wrong. I'm strongly recommending fans of Souls-like games to check out Thymesia. For the $30, I think it's well worth it. I do have minor gripes and criticisms, as I probably do with literally every game. It's impossible to not have, tiny gripes and criticisms. But I think that those tiny gripes and criticisms don't necessarily take away from the game's overarching quality. Update, I died from a Reaper brig. Sorry to hear it. So if you're just tuning in, I'm curious what you think. We were talking about Souls games and cramped environments. Do you think that that's okay, or is it overused? What about bosses that don't really die? What about scripted fails? What do you think about all those tropes and cliches in these types of games? Do you like it? What are your thoughts on that? And we've been kind of discussing that. I've got some other points of discussion that I'm going to pull out in just a moment about Thymesia that we will use to keep the chat conversation going. We will actually do a second another stream after this one, which is the Reforge Roundtable, and that will be our third show of the day. And then tonight we are doing a stream with my wife. Thymesia currently has a 78 on Steam. I feel like that's low. I don't feel like that's a good score. I don't feel like that represents it. Review written after finishing the game. 6 out of 10. A lot of potential but falls flat. The good. Combat versus enemies. Map design. Plenty of magic weapons. And then the bad. Boss designs. Really? Boss designs. Bosses force you to read in the middle of combat. 3 areas total. 5 to 6 hours of gameplay. 1 main weapon, no armor, no collectibles. Okay, most of their bad are not fair criticisms for a $30 game. 3 areas total, 5 to 6 hour gameplay, 1 main weapon, no armor, no collectibles. I think all of that is completely acceptable in a $30 game. Now, when they say bosses, for clarification on the bosses, this guy says, bosses are really fast, teleport all over the map, and heal very quickly, okay? Resulting in most boss fights just being a button mash as you're racing against their health regen, removing all tactics and fun out of the fight. I've not played enough bosses to disagree with that, but I felt like I could see somebody saying this about Odur or Oder or however you're supposed to pronounce it. I could see somebody saying that about Odur, and I don't agree. I actually thought that the boss fight with Odur got really tactical and timing based. It didn't feel button mashy at all. And I don't feel like rushing against their healing is removing tactics. I feel like it creates a wonderful tension in the game. I do. I love the fact that Thymesia gameplay creates this element of sunk cost. Like, you have invested in this fight, you've gotten all this damage on this guy, and you have to capitalize on it. But you have to capitalize well. You can't just go in and slam them. You have to choose your moments, which is great, because if you play sloppy and you fall into the urgency of I don't want them to heal, you'll make mistakes. It's a pretty fair criticism. Cult of the Lamb is 25 and has way more to offer. They're completely different games, though. Do you honestly think the development bandwidth needed for Cult of the Lamb is the same as a game like Thymesia? Do you think they're the same? I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I know Cult of the Lamb is in the same price range and offers maybe more gameplay or more longevity gameplay, but they're very different games. I wish the game had a bigger budget. 78's a decent game, though. I think this game is a solid 85. I think dropping it below an 80 is not fair to the game. I think the game is a solid 80. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. Happy to get Walking Sim on PC Game Pass. Yeah, I know. Everybody's excited to see Death Stranding. Oh gosh, my phone fell. Everybody's excited to see Death Stranding come to PC Game Pass. I don't think it's big news. We are going to talk about it on the Reforge Roundtable, and we're going to talk about why I don't think it's big news. And if you want to hear my thoughts on that, you'll have to tune into the Reforge Roundtable after this stream. It's a question of what are you going to spend your money on? Remember, this is an indie game. 85 is perfect, says Real Gamer. I think my biggest problem is the blocking. It just feels too slow for how fast. The enemy moves. But see, I didn't feel like it was slow at all. Like, I feel like when I fight Odor, like here, let's pull it up and analyze my. We'll look at my gameplay because I have it timestamped. So if you go to my Thymesia thing, right down here at the bottom, we're in the boss fight right now. So I'm gonna go back to the beginning of the boss fight, and we got a bit of an inception here. So I'll cover myself up, and like that. Like, I feel like my blocks are really, really good. Block. I get some good hits on him here. He messes me up. Using my claw to take advantage of the damage. 2 blocks in a row there. The blocks actually do damage. And then I do the spear there, which was a bit of a misfire, but it gets me good damage investment on him. No, that one wasn't a block. You can be really aggressive in the first phase, by the way. 3 blocks in a row right there. I think the blocking is perfectly fine. 2 more blocks right there. Like, I'm being super aggressive now. I messed up that block. And here he's going to do his card throwing, which I know I can be hyper aggressive, so I probably take a ton of damage here. Yeah, I take a ton of damage. Because I know that I can be really aggressive with him. I'm not even healing, by the way. I just want to go to second phase. Yeah. I'm not playing as a lamb. I think everything in this footage shows very clearly that the blocking is very good. It's very fast. Watch it in this phase. I'll use it a lot. What I like about this game is you were encouraged to fight instead of toe thumping and running away like a coward. Ooh, I want to talk about that in a minute. Hang on. I love the point that Creature just made. This game definitely pushes back against the Souls thing. I forgot to include that in my review. Shoot. I meant to include that in my review and I totally forgot. We talked about that on the phone last night. We must have had a blip because we had a huge view spike and now we've dropped back down. A bunch of people probably had to refresh. I am really sorry. YouTube has been very, very poor this week for live streams, and it has nothing to do with me. I would troubleshoot it and fix it if I could, but they're having a problem. So as soon as he's in card throwing, you can be aggressive. You can push him and just wail on him and get all the wounds on him and get him set up to where you can use your claw. Oh, wow! I forgot I did that. Holy moly. That's a successful block. That's a successful block. And then I mess up the second wave. And now I just want to kill him. There we go. Got him. I live for the blip. Yeah, we're back down to 270. Fricking Jiminy Christmas, YouTube. They're making it really, really hard to stream right now. They're making it extremely... I saw 300 viewers and I got excited. I was like, oh, maybe we're actually gaining some viewership. And then it hit 310. And I was like, nope, a bunch of people just had to refresh because of a blip. And then it inflates the viewership. It gives us a false view count. And then all of a sudden we're going to fall way back down. It's so freaking annoying. Is this game on all platforms? I believe so, yes. I believe if you play it on Nintendo Switch, it'll be cloud. If Mortal Shell maybe had this game's fluidity, it would probably been a 9 out of 10. I couldn't get into Mortal Shell. It felt clunky. I kind of agree with what you're saying. I loved what Mortal Shell looked like, but man, oh man, I couldn't get into it. It was too clunky. So the reason we watched that gameplay was to showcase the speed of the blocking. But I want to circle back to something that Creature said. And I think the tactical nature of this game is something that sets it apart from Dark Souls. We should have gone clickbait on the thumbnail and been like, Thymesia, better than Dark Souls? We were considering doing a thumbnail like that, but I'm kind of glad we didn't because it probably just brought a bunch of salty from boys in, and I'm annoyed with the From Software fans anyway. I kind of want to say frick them because they abandoned the channel really quickly as soon as we weren't playing Elden Ring or not playing it in the way they wanted. So I didn't want to provoke them to come back because I don't really like them that much. In any case, I actually think something they do that's intrinsic to the combat in Thymesia is superior to Dark Souls, and this is what it is. One day when Creature and I were on the phone planning the next day, he found some guy on YouTube streaming Elden Ring, and he was doing level 1 naked run, and he was basically fighting a boss, and it was the classic, like, hits the boss once or twice, runs away. Oh, here's my window, right? Hey, not me, I'm loyal. Hey, I'm still here. You guys know what I mean. I'm talking about, like, the FromSoft heads. Like, that's literally all they watch. I'm not talking about people that like From Software games. I'm talking, like, the FromSoft community who only watches From Software games. I'm not talking about you guys. You guys are clearly here all the time, and you also happen to like From Software games. Anyways, so he's watching this guy do this, and he's like, this is the dumbest gameplay I've ever seen. Why does this guy have 700 people watching him? And I'm like, that's the From Software, man. That's what that fan base does. They will watch people, like, painfully play a game inefficiently, slowly, and horribly, and they think it's great. And I don't know why. That's why my no summons run was such, a pedestrian run in their mind. And when he and I were talking last night, he's like, you know what I love about Thymesia? He's like, I can't hit the boss's pinky toe and run away for 20 minutes and then come back and hit his pinky toe and slowly but surely beat him. He's like, no. You got some damage on the boss? No, you didn't. You got to get in there and capitalize. You wounded the boss, and in order to get permanent damage, you have to get back in there and capitalize. You have to get back in there and take care of business. And it hit me. It dawned on me. I was like, you're right. I was like, I actually really like that. I like that more than the Souls format of tickle the boss, run away. Tickle the boss, run away. Creature says, what is skilled about that playstyle? What pain? Yeah, it's just patience and endurance. It's not necessarily skill expression. I think aggressive playstyles typically take more skill expression because you're taking greater risks and you need to have better reflexes rather than hitting them and running away and hitting them and running away. Like, you're literally memorizing their damage cycles and you're only going in when it's like a guaranteed trickle of damage. What pain, hitting someone and running away? Yeah, exactly. But the bosses in FromSoft games have much more variety. Thymesia is better is nonsense, since Thymesia has all the same features as Souls games like Games Cap. Well, like Lit, obviously, if I put Thymesia better than Souls, it would have been a little disingenuous, which is exactly why we didn't put it on the thumbnail. I think this one aspect is better. I do like it. Not everyone hits and runs. I'm not saying everyone hits and runs. I'm saying there's a particular way that people play through a Souls game, and it's more about increasing the necessary patience and endurance, not necessarily increasing the difficulty. Does that make sense? Like, is running a mile more difficult than full-on sprinting 100 yards? Well, no. They each have their own type of difficulty. You can't objectively argue like one's more difficult than another. They're both hard. Let's just say I'm going to jog for a mile. Now I'm going to jog for 2 miles. You've not made it necessarily more difficult. You just need way more endurance and patience. It's more of a mind game, if that makes sense. So we're not criticizing people that do naked level 1 retch runs. We're just saying, I think it's boring and, not that interesting. You may love it and think it's wonderful and watch those types of streams all the time. What I like about Thymesia is Thymesia doesn't leave you room to do that. It creates a new element within combat, and it's a constant level of sunk cost. There's a constant presence of sunk cost. Run in, hit them. Okay, run away. Well, you better get back in there or you're going to lose all that. You just wounded them. You didn't actually damage them yet. You know what I mean? I don't know, it takes a lot of skill to do that. Here's why I don't think so. I think it's more patience and endurance, because it's always somebody who has already beaten the game. It's somebody who has clocked thousands of hours. So I think they're literally playing something that they already know, and they're literally just making the fight last longer. Like, if you've beaten Margit 20 times and you go in to fight Margit naked level 1, it's the same fight, you just have to last longer. Which I guess you could argue, to last that long, you have to go a longer period of time without making mistakes, which is skill expression. I will grant you that. I will grant you that. It'd be like saying deathless runs, no hit would be easy. Well, no, I will never say that. Deathless no hit runs they're on another level of skill. I will never take away from somebody doing a deathless or a no hit. If you do a no hit run, you're on another level. Here's the other reason why I'm like, because they upload the recording, and it could have taken them literally all day to do a level 1 retch run on Margit. They know the patterns, they've played the game, they've beaten the game just as well as I have, and it takes them all day to get the successful recording. I'm like, you're just really patient and you have a lot of endurance. You know what I mean? You're basically no-hitting with no damage output. I mean, I guess that's true, Eugene, because, yeah, you can't take a lot of hits. Like, I don't want to overstate my case and say it takes no skill. I just think I don't find it as impressive as other people, and I like a fight like this, like in Thymesia, where there's this element of you got to stay in the ring. You got to keep the damage up. It's kind of like how I was playing Elden Ring on my no summons run. I had to stay on top of the boss because so much of my approach was posture breaking, and their posture bar would reset if I didn't stay on top of them. And I thought it created really, really fun combat. Now, it obviously made me play in a way where I made mistakes, was overly aggressive, or was too greedy, and I got punished for it. And I think that's one of the reasons a lot of the From guys didn't enjoy watching me play my no summons run, because my no summons run was built around aggression and posture breaking, which leads to sloppy, aggressive play, which I think frustrates the patient no-hit From fans. They like watching the guy patiently never get hit, and they don't think it's very fun to watch some guy aggressively try to posture break every boss because he's not summoning, and that's one of the best ways to get damage. Right? So, I really do. I like the Thymesia gameplay element of saying you can't do the hit and run strategy. I'll make another analogy to my own gameplay so that people stop defending like no hit level 1 retch runs. Let's forget about those people for a minute, because I'm not trying to take away from what they've done, and I'm not trying to insult them. Let's look at how I played Sekiro when I played against the Drunkard. Before I had really earned my chops, the game in Sekiro turned for me in Madame Butterfly when somebody said, hit her till she blocks you, till you see like the big flash. Hit her till she blocks you. And it completely changed the game for me. Like, everything turned in the Madame Butterfly fight for me. So prior to that, I played the Drunkard, and I just did hit and run, because you have unlimited stamina. So I ran, I would watch his patterns, and I'd be like, oh, I can get hits on him. Go in, wham, wham, wham. Get out. Run, go in, hit, get out. And that was a stupid way to fight the Drunkard. But the reason that I could do it is there was no impetus to keep hitting him and stay on top of him. I couldn't have done that against the Drunkard if it had what Thymesia has, which is you've only wounded him. He's going to heal if you don't get back in there. So I'm not saying that the other games are inferior because they don't have it. I'm just saying why Thymesia has a combat feature that I really like. Thymesia is a poor choice for a name. The sequel might as well be called Thymesia Rise of the Worcestershire Sauce. Yeah, I hate the name. I guarantee you it's one of the reasons it's hard for we struggle to get good results when we cover it and play it, and I think it's because people don't know how to freaking spell it. They just don't know how to spell it. Like, I don't know if people are typing Thymesia without the H. I don't know what people are typing, but we have a really, really hard time getting people in here. Because even when I type it the wrong way, like Thymesia with an H is what shows up. So I wonder actually though if we're showing up incognito under Thymesia review. Thymesia review, we're like 5th down right now. We're 5th down on Thymesia review. So we might actually get some good results if we kind of stay in the ring. If YouTube would stop blipping and buffering, because when they blip and they buffer, it causes YouTube to think that people are leaving my stream, and they're like, oh, that stream's performing terribly. It's like, no, the platform's performing terribly. It has nothing to do with me. Thymesia? Because block is easy, it's a skill expression choice. Sekiro is harder than Souls games and Elden Ring. I agree with that. I think Sekiro is the hardest in the bunch. Sekiro is rhythm-based and really easy. No, I think Sekiro is the hardest in the bunch. No doubt in my mind that the hardest FromSoft game is Sekiro. The 8 bosses were really good once you finally got them down. Yeah. Sekiro just has a combat system you have to master. Thymesia, but you say it funny. It's pronounced Thymesia. Oh, is it pronounced Thymesia or Thymesia? I mean, I'm pronouncing it like thyme, like the herb. Like if you put thyme in a meal, like if you're cooking something, that's how it's spelled. Thyme. Thymesia. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I didn't think Sekiro was that hard. Now, if you do that bell ringing and you take that thing from the kid and make your game harder, then whoa, it is hard. Just pronounce it Thymesia. Thymesia. Yeah, it's Thymesia. Yeah. Thymesia. I'm embarrassed to say that it took me a little over 8 hours to kill Genichiro. All the bosses in Sekiro took me around an hour or less, except for Ishin. Ishin took me 5 hours. That was hell. I almost gave up. Thymesia means memory, hyper, or overmixed. Yeah, you're like rebuilding your memories in this game. Yeah. So I guess that makes sense, if that's how you pronounce it. This game is thick, says Abe. Yeah. Mutated Ordor is highly annoying. Genichiro was easy once I learned to absorb his lightning. Yeah, Genichiro, the first time I fought him and got the lightning, I got really mad because everyone was talking about how hard the fight was, and I was like really impressed with myself with how I was progressing because they didn't show you that there was going to be a second phase. So the second phase like really demoralized me. I didn't appreciate how often Sekiro sucker punched you. I thought it was annoying after a while. People are like, well, you just get to the point where you accept it's probably going to happen. I'm like, or they could just let you know. You know what I'm saying? They could just totally let you know. Like, this is how the fight's gonna go. You know what I mean? They establish rules, they establish how things are gonna go, and then they're like, all right, you got him. But you didn't. I don't know. I just got sick of it after a while. It's like you establish the red dots at the top of the screen, you establish that that's how it works, and then you break those rules at numerous points, you know, throughout the remainder of the game. I find the whole thing to be, you know, irritating. It was, I don't know. To me, it was like a morale killer. It was like, here we go. Yeah, I got him. And then they'd be like, yeah, but you kind of didn't. It made you the parrying beast you are in Thymesia. I mean, I guess that's true, but no. If I would have known those fights had 2 phases, it wouldn't have, like, I didn't become better at parrying because they surprised me. When you don't assume there's 2 phases to the boss, the feeling of, oh no, there's another phase. Right, exactly. The second phase of the Guardian ape ticked everyone off. Yeah, because, I mean, he literally is dead on the ground. You're like, got him. This is great. He's just laying there, you know? Genichiro ticked me off because, again, as a streamer, everyone's talking about how tough the fight is, and I'm like, man, I'm really wrecking this guy, you know? You know, I'm really wrecking this guy's life. And then all of a sudden there's a second phase with lightning, and I'm like trying to navigate it, you know, and I think the second time I got to the lightning phase, I wrecked his world, you know, and I felt really good about that. That felt really good. If you guys are enjoying the stream, do me a favor and smash the like button. We continue to have really weird behavior from YouTube in the afternoon, and it really hurt our momentum on this stream. We were climbing, and then we had a bunch of buffering, and then we did like a nosedive. Try to give me 200 likes on the video. That might help it turn around if all of a sudden we're getting good engagement on the video. And if you haven't said anything in chat, just say, you know, maybe chime in and just say hello or what's up or what you think of Thymesia if you're going to check it out. I'm highly encouraging people to check it out, and saying that I was wrong about the title. I didn't think it was. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it after the demo. I thought after the demo that I was really, really going to dislike it. I thought I was going to play it yesterday for like an hour to check it out, and I thought I was going to walk away very, very quickly. I did not think that it was going to be something that I was going to enjoy very much at all. And I was pleasantly surprised. And I asked people a little bit ago, we were discussing cramped spaces. I'm curious what you guys think of the parry. So one of my issues with the parry... Yo, what's good, Zubair? Hello, what's up? One of my issues with the parry is it's kind of bad out of the box, and you're almost forced to spend points to make it good. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that's a legitimate design decision to have a certain ability be pretty ineffective and not very good, and you have to spend in the skill tree to make it worthwhile? Do you agree with me that parrying should be good out of the box, and that you shouldn't have to do that? So then it's more about customizing the parry instead of like, this makes the parry good. Because when I look at that parry tree, I'm like, hey, there's some really great builds here, but I feel like they're not even worth looking into, because I feel like you almost are forced to pick the one that extends the parry window, because the parry window is so freaking bad. I hate it. It should be usable from the start. You shouldn't have to upgrade it to make it a viable option early in the game, says Abe. Right, because then it doesn't feel like I'm customizing the parry. It feels like I'm fixing it. It literally feels like I'm fixing the parry because the parry doesn't work. Like, you can spend money to patch the game. Well, no, spend skill points. The parry is terrible because it doesn't stun the enemy, doesn't really give you an opening, which is the whole point of a parry. Well, it's called a deflect, I think. I think we're calling it a parry. I think in the menu it's called your deflection, and it damages them. I was getting a ton of wounds, which then as soon as I was done doing all the blocks, I would hit the guy with my claw. I think that's why it's okay that it doesn't stun them, because it puts damage on them. It wounds them, which is amazing. Imagine if it did that in frickin' Sekiro or like Ghost of Tsushima, where like as long as you're parrying, that puts damage on the enemy. It's not just a parry, it's a deflection that puts damage on them. Potential damage. And you can increase the amount of damage it does to them every time you get a successful block. I was getting tons of damage on the guy just from getting successful blocks, or deflections, or whatever you want to call them. I'm pretty sure in the skill menu it's called a deflection. I think there's a middle ground where that makes it good from jump, but improvable too, says Cujo. If the parry was that good from start, you would just put points in other aspects, and it would be OP. But there's literally builds with parry that I don't think anybody's ever going to do, because if you don't increase its window, it's worthless. Like, there's 2 potential optional trees on it. And who's going to pick the other option if you feel like you absolutely must increase the window? I would say the parry in this game is the feather. Yeah, the feather is the disruption on the unblockables. Deflect does damage to the enemy posture in Sekiro. Yeah, but it's not doing damage to them. It's doing damage to their posture. It's similar, but not quite. It's not the same. You have to allocate your abilities evenly. No, you cannot pick those other abilities, Dudley. I think we're passing in the night here. Let me see if I can get to the point where I have it on my screen. Hang on. Here we go. I got it. Okay, here's the issue. If you spend points for what I'm circling here, which is you increasing the deflect window, you literally can't choose these here. Also, if you go down this way to get the increased window, you also can't choose these 3 here, which is the blocking thing. So, in order to make deflect viable, you have to go down these 3, which completely invalidates half of the tree. That's the point that I'm making. I don't know if I highlight them. Yeah, right there. So that's the defense mode. And then I don't know if I ever go back to the deflect and highlight those. Yeah, increases deflect damage. Now, I'd be totally okay with being like, if you get really, really good at deflect, you can increase the deflect damage, but you can't increase the deflect window. But it feels like you have to increase the deflect window to even make it a viable option in the game. I choose the outer tree because the timing for deflection is similar to Sekiro, so I just built into deflection doing more damage. Completely disagree. I think deflect is so bad in this game without you investing in it. And I felt like it was similar to Sekiro after I invested in increasing the window. Sony's an L for not doing a Bloodborne PC port remaster for PS5. I feel like it's inevitable and it'll happen no matter what. Guys, we're an hour into the stream. We really need to hit 200 likes. We got our absolute shins kicked on this stream, and we shouldn't have. This should have been a perfectly good follow-up stream to yesterday and our morning stream. Try to help me get 200 likes. This is our runway to the Reforge Roundtable, so do what you can to do those rituals, because, man, that buffering that keeps happening between noon and 1 o'clock is just killing us. That's what I ran, deflect damage. Even then, enemies at the beginning of the game should be a little more generous with those timing windows. Let the player get their bearings and then dial up the difficulty. That's what I'm saying. Like, the deflection is so bad in the beginning, it doesn't even feel like it's working. I thought it was glitched. I was like, am I doing something wrong? It, like, wouldn't work. Yo, what's good, Doom? The deflect is so good, you don't even need to use your blades anymore. I rarely did. I just stood there, let them come to me and deflect, and then hit them with the claw. That's just going to boil down to subjective feel. I have absolutely no problems with timing of deflecting. I ran deflect damage, says GG Milios Gaming. The issue with deflect is that there is no sound cue. You have to react to the animation, which the window for the deflect is small. All right, Salty, let me read your response. Real King Salty wrote a response in the Discord. I feel in games that have capability of parries, blocks, or guards, they need to be effective as a whole. Upgrades along the way that add effects to the action or upgrades that increase the strength of the action are much better. The game has parry as a fundamental mechanic, so it should be good from the start, and upgrades just make it do cool things. In Anvil, if I perfect block and attack, I can get anything from health regen, increased weapon, attack, or skill power. Do they give bigger channels YouTube reps to contact to discuss this stuff? I mean, there wouldn't be anything to discuss. Once a day, there's some kind of a weird blip thing. Is the blip occurring at a predictable time? Maybe start the stream later? I can't do that. We go from one stream to the next. We don't shut down. The combat is addictive when you get used to the mechanics. Oh, I agree. I 100% agree. That's why I changed my mind about the game. Like, once I got into the rhythm with the combat, and I was, like, healing off of executions, and once I got the parry window increased, I was like, this game's fantastic. The whole game felt different when I did that. There should be haptic feedback when you get hit. Sometimes I don't even know I got hit when I did. Oh, yeah. I said that. I said player feedback on receiving damage is so low. It's like, there were times where I was like, I was low health, and it was like I had gotten hit a bunch of times and had no idea. It's like I healed, thought I had pretty good health, and all of a sudden I'm dying. I'm like, wait a minute, why was I low health? Well, I got hit a couple of times and didn't realize it because the numbers are like at the very bottom of your body. They kind of blend in. Why were you wrong and just got here? Well, my Thymesia review is basically that I played the demo and thought I was not going to enjoy this game. I thoroughly enjoyed it yesterday and wanted to keep playing, and I did not think that was going to happen. I was wrong. I thought I was not going to enjoy this game at all, and I loved it. Once I did a couple of things and invested in a couple of things in the skill tree, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a great little game. So I was encouraging people to get the game and saying, listen, I was wrong. This is a solid game. No, I did not beat the game. I beat the first major actual boss, Odor or whatever his name is. Abe says, I wouldn't say that it's bad. I just think it's too tight of a window for when you're just trying to learn to play the game. But I also haven't played, just watched. YouTube has encouraged me to run ads, guys. We really like to encourage people to become a member, gift a member, press like, or just chat whenever they're asking us to do that. I don't like running ads. We try to monetize the channel completely different than that. I have it wishlisted. I might pull the trigger. Are we getting gameplay later? No. No, we're doing the Reforge Roundtable after this. The Reforge Roundtable now goes live every Friday at 2. So this stream here is our lead up to that. And then there's the after show after the Roundtable. You can tell that most of the time went into the combat in development. It would be nice if the sequel, they kept the combat system, but that worked on everything else. Wish it had mod support. I would try making new bosses and movesets. No more Thymesia gameplay? No. My audience doesn't support gameplay. I can't play games at length. I can play a game when it's new, and then I have to put it down because the viewership just leaves the channel immediately when I'm doing gameplay. We're not even getting good results for this. Like, the sub base just kind of left. A lot of people left when we switched to this channel. So no, Thymesia didn't get the support necessary for me to play it to completion. We are a talk show 90% of the time, so gameplay is a tough sell as it is. But sadly, the audience is not supporting this the way that I thought they were going to, because it's a really hot title, and everybody bailed. We had a great Diablo stream this morning, and we came over here and a lot of people left. And I'm not mad at them. I always use it as a barometer. I'm like, is the channel supporting gameplay? Yes, keep going. Once the channel stops supporting a certain type of gameplay, I don't do it anymore. It doesn't get the support because we haven't done enough to build the fan base that likes that. No, that's not true at all. We spent 6 months doing something called From Friday and playing From Software games, and the lion's share of the From Software fans bailed on the channel as soon as Elden Ring lost its flavor. Now, a lot of them stayed, so it was well worth the investment, but to say that we haven't built up enough fan base for games like this is simply not true. We had a dedicated day of the week to From Software games, and the minute Elden Ring got dry, everyone bailed, you know, to the point that we stopped playing Elden Ring and we got rid of From Fridays. And I fault that group for that. It's on them. That day went away because of them, because they all vanished into thin air, and it didn't have anything to do with the playthrough. It didn't have anything to do with me. That's what they do, you know. They rallied, man. They were so excited. They watched me play Sekiro. They watched me play Dark Souls 3, you know. Elden Ring was great, and then all of a sudden they all vanished into thin air, you know. Here's the honest to goodness truth. It was just like when I ran raids in another game. The minute you're not doing that, you lose people. There are people that is all they care about, right? And From Software is the same way. Like, there are people that, like, that's all they want to see. They want to see the fresh run, the pain run, the frustration. And as soon as that's not happening and that kind of evaporates, they're done. It's crazy the No Summon playthrough wasn't a hit. I want to see the No Summon's Melania fight. It's just one of those things. I'll be honest, I'm here for the talk. I don't even look at my screen. Listening to anyone play a game is really not my jam. Oh, I never take it personal that gameplay is a hard sell here. Transmissions from a Spaceboat. Love that name. I never take it personal because 90% of the time you're listening to a radio show, and if that radio show suddenly goes silent and it's just some guy playing a game, it makes perfectly good sense that people walk away. But that's why I always tell people, listen, if you want to see more gameplay on the channel, then you got to support it when it happens. And slowly but surely, we may have a large enough audience and a loyal enough audience that we'll be able to do that. Well, the channel will just be so big that it won't matter. It'll be like, look, man, I want to play this game for a week. So every day in the afternoon when we're done with the talk show, I'm playing this game. And we may get to a point where there's enough people to support that. We're just still in a growth phase. Like, we have to focus on growing the channel, which means we have to stick to our core competencies, and that is a talk show and not gameplay. I am not a gameplay content creator. I'm just not. That's never been my draw and my appeal. The only time it was a draw and an appeal was when I did raids, and that wasn't the content. That was for the service. That wasn't even because of the gameplay. That was because people were hoping to get carried through a raid. Let's see. Yeah, that all looks good for Roundtable Creature. I'm here for the talk show first, but having some gameplay to highlight games is also welcome. I would never have paid attention to Thymesia if you didn't showcase it. Yeah, right now, gameplay is like a condiment on the meal. It's not a part of the meal, right? It would be nice if we get to the point where, like, there's the main dish, and then there's a side dish, and that side dish is gameplay. Right now, gameplay is not even a side dish. It's literally just a condiment on top. So, and I think that will change. It just takes time. The core audience for these types of games are probably small. There's much more to talk about and discuss with more complex games like MMOs and RPGs. Oh, yeah, but... the core audience on this channel responds to talk shows, and they're not responding to this game in particular. Even a talk show about this game, and they're not coming in. This video just hit their feeds. This video just hit their noties, and they didn't come. So that tells me, nope, can't do it. Like we gotta cut bait on that game. Now, if we did this with a game, like let's imagine we did something different this week and we invested in Cult of the Lamb instead, and I was reviewing it today and giving my thoughts on it, and we had this crazy huge turnout and the sub base tuned in. Well, then we would have our answer. Hey, we could probably play that a couple more times. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's always an experiment. Every episode is an experiment, and we have to look at the experiment, measure the results, and then make a decision. So it's I'm never taking it personal. I'm always like, okay, how did that do? How well did it go? What was the audience response? What was the YouTube response? What was search? What was this? And then we go, interest isn't there, you know? And we learn from that. We've learned that when we cover Call of Duty, we have a really hard time because there's all these established Call of Duty channels, and the fans typically go there, even though it's a gigantic title and it's highly relevant. And those are just lessons that you learn whenever you're covering 8 different games in a week. Realm Royale by High Res Studios is supposed to be getting a revamp relaunch. Not sure if it's worth covering, though, even though I like the game. I don't really cover battle royales that much. Interesting thing to me is that you were doing a fresh run of Demon Souls, but they didn't care. You would think they would show up for that? I think at that point in time, Tenor Dude, I think a lot of them just decided they were like, I don't like this guy's view on FromSoft games. I was more critical. I criticized the end game. I criticized design choices, and I think a lot of that community was just like, I don't like this guy's takes. And I do think something in that community that I found interesting was they didn't want to debate about the game. It was worship or be gone. You know what I mean? Barrier says, maybe we can bring some of that back with the Tier 2 membership goal. The tough games for Tier 2 thing. If people really want that kind of content, then sub Tier 2. That's a good point, Barrier. If you guys want to see me go back into games like that, that's supposed to be a weekly segment if we have 100 Tier 2 members. Because 100 Tier 2 members is basically like, what is that, That's like 200 extra members, right? Because you're going up by $10. So that extra $10 multiplied by the 100, right? It's two members for everyone, so that's 200 extra members, right? As soon as you got critical of a From game, that bunch was out, insulted their deity. Right. Yeah, that's kind of how it went. What's good, Gritter? How are you, sir? We hyped for Wolong Fallen Dynasty. I think it looks really cool. Yeah, I'm excited for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if we get 30 more people to upgrade to Tier 2, I'll do that. I'll let you guys pick tough games and I'll play them. I won't stream them. It'll be a recording and it'll go up on the weekends. So you can laugh at my pain on the weekends. Tier 2 members and above will be able to see the videos. Who are worse, CFD fans or FromSoft fans? Sea of Thieves fans. Like, FromSoft fans can be pretty bad, but the Sea of Thieves fans are a unique breed of weird. Super random, but how about a multiverses game night? No, I don't like that game. I absolutely despise fighting games. And I tried that game, and I don't like it. Watching you rage on the spear guy yesterday was kind of fun. Yeah, people like rage in small doses. You know, I put a lid on it after that. I kept it pretty cool for Odor. Odor. I'm just going to call him Odor. I kept it pretty cool for Odor. I was more strategizing and experimenting against him. Keep in mind, that was after I invested in parry, and I didn't feel like I was playing the game in a super weird way. Like, dodging against the spear guy, I knew it wasn't right. I was like, this is not how you're supposed to play. I actually love watching you die and hope it takes a while. Oh, I know there's people like you in the audience, MG, and every time. You guys drink my rage tears like it's nectar. I know. Barrier says, come on, there's got to be 30 more people that want to see Lono rage. Might as well refer to Odor as Stinks McGee. Yeah, he has a real bad odor. What kind of monster would enjoy someone's pain like that? That's awful. You should play it if you feel like it. I'm sure a lot of people would want to watch you rage. No. Skits McGee. New merch, Lono Rage Tears, right? Just sell like little tiny vials of water. And just claim it's my tears. Lono raging as Akira was enough for me, thanks. Yeah. We just have to be smart. Listen, it's a symbiotic thing. I really enjoy talking. It's honestly easier for me to talk and, and do a talk show. That's actually easier for me than gameplay. At one level, gameplay is mindless because I just turn it on and play and just kind of talk and tell you what I'm thinking. So at one level, gameplay is a bit of a dunker. Like when we have to do gameplay, I kind of enjoy that because I'm like, oh, I don't have to do nearly as much show prep. Just make a thumbnail, type up the stream description, and just play, right? So at one level, gameplay is easier, but at another level, it's like it's hard for me to do what I really like to do when I'm playing. Like it's hard for me to keep talking. It's hard for me to kind of keep the conversation going. So I'm not like bummed out when I'm like, oh, I can't play this game anymore. Now listen, if you sons of guns don't support me playing God of War Ragnarok for about a week, probably about 2 weeks to beat the whole thing, we're going to have some words. At the very least, the members are just going to have to take that right on the chin. If those streams stop getting supported, then I'll just play the rest of the game in a member stream. And the members will just take that right on the chin. I'm like, I'm finishing this freaking game, and it'll be as a playlist if anybody wants to watch the whole thing as a member. Well, I'll have some words, though, if the core audience does not support me playing Ragnarok. We've covered that game up one side, down the other. It's highly anticipated. It's some of our best coverage. If I try and play that game and I can't get if I can't get support for 2 weeks, y'all are gonna hear some words from me. I'll be very disappointed. I'm like, y'all have made me mad. I'll be like dad mad. I'll be like disappointed mad. Like, how dare you? I get people not wanting to see spoilers. I get that. I do. I get that. It can be cross-platform and cross-games, a universal potion, temporary attack boost, Reforge Rage Tears. Yeah. We'll sell it as an NFT. Is there a Reforge mug for sale? There is on the coffee site, Gritter. Oh, jeepers. You will watch God of War Ragnarok. I'm fine with that. I just want to see you play games to completion. Well, we said with doing members content every day, Christopher, that would afford me that option. Like, if I play God of War Ragnarok for a week, and then we can definitely see the viewership just going like this, well, then what we'll do is we'll just go back to Double Talk Show, and then I'll go over to members, and I'll be like, listen, if you guys want to watch part 6 of me playing God of War Ragnarok, you got to be a member. Like, I'm sorry, but I got to kick this to members because it's not being supported. And so that allows me to be self-indulgent, but at the same time, I'll be pretty annoyed. I'm like, come on, man. Come on, y'all. What do you mean, y'all? Is that like the crap you were saying about abolitionists? Y'all better support the blank out of that, says Barrier. I'm going to be ticked if he has to stop playing. Streaming is really his only game time, and I know my man's is excited for Ragnarok. We'll kick it to members. No matter what, I get to beat the game, Barrier. No matter what, I get to beat the game. You know? I'm not about to not finish that game. You know? Like, you better believe if Ghost of Tsushima comes out with a sequel, that I'm playing that game beginning to end. Frick y'all. Frick y'all. Frick them kids. I'm playing that game beginning to end. Somehow, some way, it's happening. It's personal as well. I get OCD on you not finishing a game. It eats at me. Yeah, imagine what it does to me. Especially if it's a game I enjoy. All right, let me make sure. Yeah, okay, we got redirect set. Okay. I'm 100% there for God of War Ragnarok, regardless of public or members only. I love getting to see your reactions to gameplay and story. I would love to play through God of War, the first game, as a lead up to Ragnarok, but I don't know. I have doubts it would be supported very well. I mean, I don't know. We have a launch date, and we could probably look up estimates on how long it takes to beat it, and then spec out how early I'd have to start. Like, how many weeks back would I have to start it to, like, beat that game and walk it right up to Ragnarok. Because I wonder if that would start, like, popping, like, oh my gosh, and then that would create a fan base of people that, like, I'm going to watch this guy play Ragnarok. That was really fun. It's hard to know. Like, God of War is about 20 hours in length. If you're a gamer that strives to do all aspects of the game, you're likely going to spend around 51 hours to obtain. So let's just go on the high end there and go to 30 hours. 30 hours divided by streams that are close to 3 hours in length. means I would have to play the game for, I would say, about 2.5 weeks. This image was from God of War gameplay. He went too soon. Oh, Road to Ragnarok. New info, God of War Ragnarok. Well, that was new info, though. He wasn't playing the game. So that means November the 9th. Okay. The week prior to that would be the first week of November. And then we'd have to start playing it on October 24th. If we start playing it on October 24th, that would give me 10, 11, that would give me 12 days to beat it. 12 days multiplied by 2.5 hours each time is exactly 30 hours. It's exactly 30 hours. So 12 days if I started on October the 24th. Oh, he was playing and talking. Oh. Ghost of Tsushima top 3 all time for you? You love pretty much anything related to feudal Japan? Yeah, Tsushima's in my top. I think in my top 5. Hellblade's my top, very tippity top. Followed by like both the Ori games, Tsushima, Returnal. Yeah. Ragnarok Fridays. Oh, golly, it would take us forever. I think you'll be pleased the movie is going to be all Japanese. I tweeted about that a bunch. When they confirmed that it was going to be an all-Japanese cast or something like that. There was something about it was going to be an all-Japanese cast. I was like, put it in Japanese. And then the next announcement, like a day or two later, was that the whole movie was going to be filmed and spoken in Japanese. I was like, that's exactly how it should freaking be. I celebrated that. There was at least 3 different tweets from me about it. I don't read your Twitter. Is the PS5 upgrade worth the extra cost? I think so. A lot of people on Twitter are pestering the devs about motion blur. Yeah, that was one of my first critiques when I booted up the game on my PS5. Like, let me turn that motion blur off, bro. How long did it take you to get a PS5 through invitation? I didn't get one. Through invitation. I did the direct when it became available. I never got an email. I never got an email for the invitation. Somebody said, oh, they're available in direct, and I went to direct and got it. I think my next my PS5 is out for delivery right now. It's going to be in my house by the end of the day. Yep. I have a PS5 on the way. The Horizon Forbidden West combo one that I got. Just got back. What prompted the change of mind about Thymesia? I played it. It felt way better than the demo. And even if they would have fixed some of my frustrations with the demo, I didn't think I was going to enjoy the game very much. I just didn't think I was going to. New World's going to be at Gamescom. I thought you had PS5 already? I do. I'm getting a second one. There's a handful of games I wanted to play co-op with my wife that aren't split screen. Like Returnal. And it'll just be nice to have a backup. And it'll be nice to have one like in the living room and then one in the studio so I don't have to move it back and forth. I don't like doing that with hardware. Play Gunfire Reborn? No. Every dev keeps adding the horrible layers of post-process. Motion blur, film grain, chromatic aberration, depth of field. All of it needs to go. I don't understand why they even bother with any of it. Still trying to get one for your husband. This guy has two. You just gotta watch the PS5 Directs for him. That's how. I mean, somebody came in and said PS5 Direct has them, and I just pulled it up and got in the queue. Not that that's a guarantee, but sad I can't claim membership in my region. I know. It's a bummer. It's a bummer that it works the way that it does. Okay, oops, that's the wrong thing. We really, really like to do this podcast every Friday, and I want to start going to the podcast on time, which is at 2 o'clock, which is in 10 minutes. And I'm going to send you guys over there now. Oh, wait, why is it hang on. It's letting me redirect even though it's unlisted. Public. So no one got a 30-minute noti. I guess that's fine. Okay, it's public now. I was like, why does it say unlisted? There we go. Okay. I'm going to send you guys over there. You can click the link in chat or you can let it redirect you. We will go live over there in about 10 minutes. And it's going to be me and Ginger Prime. And we are going to be talking about Diablo and the backlash for monetization and their answer to it, multiverses, Microsoft and Sony fan base continuing to kind of war over the consoles, and all the delays happening right now, and what it means for the coming years. I thought you'd make it public when you set the redirect, didn't want to hang it out. Oh. So what I do is I schedule something 44 minutes before it's supposed to go live. So they get the 30. So as long as it's 44 minutes before 2, you're good to set that public in the future, creature. Because I'm not going to think to do it. I'm being me. So, all right. I'm going to put a link in chat. And then this stream will end, and it should redirect you over there. If not, it'll be the featured video on this channel, and we'll be live in about 10 minutes. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. And if you're a member, there's a Reforge Roundtable after show as well. All right, we'll see you guys over there.